I understand that you had a problem one time with Children's Aid Society going into your children's school. Could you describe the situation to me?
Well, it started off that I found there was inappropriate physical contact between one of the teachers and my youngest son. When I had approached the teacher and told her that I found it was inappropriate, I had asked her to stop. She did not. Went to the principal. She did not. Went to the Catholic School Board. And within 24 hours of me filing a complaint with the Catholic School Board, Children's Aid had made a move to seize my children from the school. That day came, I went to meet my children at the bus stop. They were 5 and 7, and no children. I had to hunt my children down, go to the school to find that Children's Aid had seized them and had begun interrogating them for allegations of abuse and neglect. After 5 hours of questioning of my husband, myself, and my children, it was probably the most horrific experience of my life. The Children's Aid worker told me I am Children's Aid and I have the power to make sure you never see your children again. You do what I say, or the children are gone. And that was about the summation of it. Allegations were proved to be false. Was never issued an apology. Afterwards, you know what? They ripped through my family. For about 6 to 7 months, they ripped through my family. They tore us apart. Constantly showing up at my doorstep, constantly trying to monitor the kids in school. My children to this day still have dreams of being seized. Nightmares, night terrors that follow them for years. They had to go into counseling for a period of time just to get them over the fact that not every adult that approaches them is out to cause them harm.
Now, you had mentioned earlier about being interviewed at the school. Did actually you and your husband get interviewed at the school as well by the CAS workers?
Yes, we had. My husband and I were detained in a classroom. The children were taken to the library. I could hear my children screaming and crying from down the hall, and they would not let me near the children or vice versa. And they asked us every kind of question, some of the most inappropriate questions, for up to 5 hours. Then they followed us home. Just to survey our home. They said they had the right to stop in and visit. They called it a visit anytime they chose, and they did. They would do spot checks. They would just show up at my doorstep, and I had to allow them in under threat of having my children seized.
So they actually told you that they had the right to come into your home to inspect it? Is that what they said?
Yes, they did. They didn't give me an option. They wanted to make sure that the children were safe. What they found was a brand new room that my children had. We prioritized our kids. Nice clothes, clean environment. The kids had everything they could possibly want, and a full-time mom. And Children's Aid said that wasn't good enough.
What effect has this had on you and your husband?
Well, for the first couple of months into this, it almost tore us apart. It definitely was devastating. We wanted to pursue it further. However, that wasn't what was the healthy choice for our marriage and our family. Now we're a much stronger family unit, but not because of any good they had done. It's because we had to fight for our own family's life together. I don't know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
And in all of this, you're saying it started out with a complaint against one of the teachers at the school.
Yeah, it was the Catholic school board. She would hug and kiss my son and say, "Oh, there's my little man." And I would see this, and I told her, you know, I can appreciate that you enjoy children the way that you enjoy my boy, but go have your own, because this is not the forum for you to be all hands-on. The hugging, the kissing, the hand-holding. He was 5 years old. That was highly inappropriate. And from there, it just snowballed, because I spoke up on behalf of my child, and then I was punished for it.
Based on your experience, do you think the school was using the Children's Aid Society as a forum to punish you for it?
As retaliation, absolutely. You do not speak out against the Catholic school board. You don't speak out against any school board for inappropriate conduct of their teaching staff or their faculty. They will get you in the end, and their first line of defense is Children's Aid.
Did your experience with the Children's Aid Society have any effect on your relationship with other parents at the school or with any of the teachers and school officials?
Absolutely. Within a couple days of Children's Aid showing up at the school, I was approached in the parking lot when I came to pick up my children. Members of the parents group approached me, and they told me I was the worst possible kind of person. How dare I? They accused me of child abuse. I was watched constantly. They tried to destroy my reputation within our community. There's supposed to be confidentiality of a sort to protect the parents and the children. They don't employ that. They did everything they could to start a smear campaign. It was very hard to hold your head up in public in a small community when you've had some pretty serious and, well, erroneous allegations made against you as a child abuser.
Did you find that from your experience at school, did you find that many of the other parents found out that Children's Aid Society had been into the school to see your children?
Yes, everybody knew. It was a very small school. There was 240 children, I think, in the school, and everybody knew. From being approached in the parking lot to waiting outside my children's classroom, and being looked up and down, and the nasty comments that came from the other parents. My children were disassociated from their social groups. They were no longer invited to parties, like birthday parties or swim parties. I was asked to leave certain parenting groups because I was not their ideal parent, and they accused us of setting a bad example.
Now, out of curiosity now, if the Children's Aid Society workers had a legitimate reason for maybe wanting to speak to a child, you know, they had a call or had a complaint, and it was felt that they did need to interview children, where do you think would be a more appropriate place than the school? Where do you think they would be a good place to interview kids?
You know what? There needs to be some neutral ground. Obviously, there is a need to protect children. I can see that. But there's also a need to protect the families themselves. I wouldn't say a police station, not necessarily the familial home, but a neutral ground needs to be established.
Do you think maybe having the children and the parents go back to the CS offices may be not a bad place to at least interview children confidentially?
It would be better than such a public and open forum as a school. However, I can see where there would be areas of hostility, upset, anxiety. It would be better, though.